In a small village nestled among the rolling hills lived Amna Bibi, an 82-year-old woman with silver hair tied in a loose bun and eyes that still sparkled with stories. Her days were slow now, filled with gentle walks, warm cups of tea, and the soft ticking of the wall clock. But within her heart lived a treasure trove of golden memories, echoes of a life once filled with love, laughter, pain, and purpose. Every evening she would sit on her wooden rocking chair by the veranda, gazing at the orange sky. Children in the neighborhood often gathered around her, eager for one of her enchanting stories. But the most precious story of all was the one she held closest, her own. A childhood in simplicity. Amna grew up in a modest home made of mud bricks. Her mother's bangles would jingle as she cooked over a clay stove, and her father would return from the fields with a smile despite the sweat on his brow. She remembered playing hopscotch with her sisters, dancing barefoot in the monsoon rain, and learning embroidery from her grandmother, who would hum lullabies of forgotten times. "We had little," she'd say, "but our hearts were full." Love in letters. At 18, she was married to Imtiaz, a school teacher with kind eyes and a poetic soul. Their love wasn't loud, but deep and constant. He wrote her letters even after marriage, each one sealed with a pressed flower and soft words that made her blush. "I still keep them in the old wooden chest," she once whispered to her granddaughter. "They smell of ink and jasmine." A mother's journey. Raising 5 children wasn't easy, but Amna never once complained. Her hands stayed rough from kneading dough and sewing clothes, but her heart remained tender. She watched her children grow, stumble, succeed, and move away to the cities chasing dreams. The house grew quieter, but her prayers louder. Loss and strength. When Imtiaz passed away, a silence filled her world. For days she spoke to no one, but eventually she stood up, lit a lamp before his picture, and began to live again. Not for herself, but for the memories they had created together. A life remembered now. In her twilight years, Amna didn't crave wealth or fame. She found joy in old photo albums, the scent of fresh parathas, and the sound of her great-grandchildren giggling. Every wrinkle on her face told a story. Every glance out the window recalled a season past. "Old age," she often said, "is not a burden. It's a golden book if only someone is willing to read." Message golden memories are not about the grand events, but the quiet moments of love, kindness, and faith. Amna Bibi lived a simple life, but it was one of deep beauty and lasting impact. Would you like this story turned into a YouTube script? Or do you want a second part from a different stage of her life? The summer breeze carried the scent of roses through the veranda as Amna Bibi sat with her embroidered shawl wrapped around her frail shoulders. The children had returned home after hearing her stories, and the house had grown quiet again. As she sipped her tea, her eyes fell on the old wooden chest tucked in the corner of her room. Imtiaz's letters lay within. That night, the moonlight poured through the window like a soft spotlight, and Amna Bibi opened the chest with trembling fingers. Inside were yellowed envelopes, faded photos, and a small diary wrapped in a ribbon. She picked one letter at random and began to read aloud. "My dearest Amna, if you're reading this, then I know time has aged us like the finest wine. I hope your hands are still warm and your heart is still full. You were always my strength, Amna, not just the woman of the house, but the soul of our world." Tears welled up in her eyes. Even now, his words wrapped around her like a familiar embrace. She read another, then another, each one breathing life into the silence of the room. A new purpose. The next morning, a thought lit up her mind. What if she turned these letters into a book? Not for fame, but as a gift to her grandchildren. A way to show them what true love, patience, and resilience looked like. With help from her youngest granddaughter, Sarah, Amna began narrating her memories while Sarah typed them out. Stories of war and peace, scarcity and celebration, loss and love. The letters guided the chapters. Each one had a theme: hope, sacrifice, patience, faith, and everlasting love. A gift to the future months passed. The manuscript was complete. Sarah surprised her one evening with a printed copy titled Golden Threads of Amna's Life. Amna Bibi held it in her hands with awe. The cover had a sketch of her and Imtiaz sitting under the old neem tree from their courtyard days. Her story had come full circle. Legacy of Love. The book became a treasure in their family. At weddings, birthdays, and family gatherings, excerpts were read aloud. Even neighbors asked for copies. For the first time in years, Amna felt she wasn't just remembering her past, she was shaping the future. In her final days, she no longer feared the end. She had lived well, loved deeply, and left behind a legacy of golden memories for generations. Final note from Amna Bibi from the book's last page. Don't be afraid to age. With every wrinkle comes a story, and with every year, a deeper strength. If you're blessed with time, use it to remember, forgive, and love louder than ever before.